Signature TV, news in your pocket.
Welcome back, and we're still talking on, Anambra State elections. We're still keeping you updated on what is going on and the recent happenings in the state. And joining us this morning via phone call is Caleb Okeke Enyobi. He's a political analyst and he's here to give us more insights. Good morning, and thank you for joining us.
Good morning. Good morning, Nigerians.
Yes. So tell us what is going on in Anambra State. I mean, the by-elections just concluded. Just give us, an overview of what's up in Anambra.
Well, this morning it's Thursday, and the elections have been won and lost. However, it must be said that the elections were auctioned. The elections of Saturday were auctioned. The reason is that most of the parties participated in the vote buying exercise. It was an auctioning in which the party who paid the highest won. I voted at Emmanuel Anglican Church, Akwaka Million Mudim in Enyobi, North Local Government area here in Anambra State. And in my polling unit is domiciled in an Anglican church. The candidate of the APC going to the election was backed by the Anglicans. And so we saw the Apuga party and their agents sharing up to 10,000 naira, at the polling units to counter, that endorsement. Elsewhere, the prices range from 5,000, 2,000, 3,000, as the case may be. So it must be said that other parties too were outpriced. The party at the center, the All Progressive Alliance, they were able to procure the preponderance of the votes, and hence, that's why I said the election was an auction where the highest bidder won.
So, in other words, you're saying that it wasn't a free and fair election, apparently. And so, seeing that, all of this, like you said, vote buying and the likes, would you say that that's what we're going to expect in November? Something like this is also going to play out?
But to say that this is what we are going to expect is to put it mildly. I think that in November we are going to see a full-on vote auctioning. Probably, it's reported allegedly that in some areas the local government chairmen themselves were the ones sharing the money. So maybe we will see the governor himself sharing money in November. I think we're expecting the worst in November, because if what happened on Saturday is anything to go by, it means that parties will now go and they would go and amass wealth, amass cash for procurement of the election. It's a very sad deal on our democracy that we've gotten to the point where brazenly, even in the presence of police, presence of DSS, presence of the army, and what's it called? Road safety was even involved in this election. Yet in their presence, this vote trading, was done without any apology, without any hiding. And we've got to that point now, and all I can say is that November will be worse. Seeing that what was at stake at this point was the by-election for the Senate and the Onitsha 1 constituency election. And both elections, the highest bidder won, in this case, APGA.
Okay. Mr. Caleb, what would you say, how would you say that the INEC handled the whole situation?
Well, for the INEC, I think first time I'll give them some kudos. The INEC was ready as early as 8 o'clock. They had already set up in most areas. In my polling unit, as early as 7:30, INEC had arrived because I was there by 7 myself. I also observed the election. So for the first time, INEC was ready before the political parties were even ready. That they were ready to commence accreditation as early as 8 o'clock in most places and 7:30 in other places. And I hear that the report is the same across the local governments, 21 local governments in Anambra State. INEC on their own part, they played their part. They were not found wanting in terms of readiness. However, where I fault INEC is that the instance of a widespread vote buying, they should have cancelled that election, because it was nothing like an election. It was not a demo. It was not an election in the real sense, where people, when you have people fighting for money, all this kind of drama. You have allegedly local government chairmen coming to the election, to the polling units to share money directly. When you have all these things, I think that INEC should have cancelled the election. It is reported everywhere in Anambra State. So if INEC should see all these things, if your agents saw all these things and they couldn't put up a report as what they saw in the field, and they collated those results as though the masses had voted their conscience. And then, because I had not seen INEC had not mentioned in any of their reports, whether officially or by way of a commentary on the election. We've not seen them condemn the vote buying. That's their own official experience on Saturday. So, but to the extent of their organization and election management, kudos to them. But the extent of upholding the electoral laws, which is meant to prevent people soliciting for votes, let alone outright payments, after people had voted. If they couldn't, as much as mention that, if there is not to now no official report of INEC, mentioning what they saw in the field, it could well be that they are in support of what happened on Saturday.
All right, now seeing as just like you've mentioned, INEC was unable to properly handle the situation of the vote buying. Would you say, are you confident that INEC can guarantee a credible governorship election in November, given the way they've handled this one in the by-election?
Okay, let me say that within our laws, the people saddled with the arrest of electoral offenders are the security agencies. But somebody has to point it out. An INEC official who is in the field and observes party agents and what they call canvassers these days, and even the local government chairman doling out money to voters, is within his right to raise an alarm to the security agencies, and the security agencies on their own part are within the conference of the law required to arrest and take in more such persons, no matter what offices they may occupy. So INEC, apart from their logistical preparedness, they should look also towards preserving our democracy by seeing that they are able to do what they need to do to raise the alarm when these parties, because as far as the parties are concerned, they've done it this time and it works for them. See them stopping in November. What's at stake in November is even higher than what was at stake last Saturday. And so INEC must now rise above and be able to call attention of the security agents to this anomaly. Because I would say that citizens should do that, but citizens themselves seem to be worse than their leaders. And that's what my conclusion after my observation of last election. I came to the conclusion that it appears that citizens are worse than their leaders. And so INEC being the one with the mandate for free and fair election conduct, its onus now lies on them to see what can be done about the vote auctioning that has become a culture in our elections.
Okay, so you made mention of the INEC upholding the electoral law and every other thing that you said. So what do you think INEC or the electorates or the candidates, what do you think they should have done better, even the local government?
Well, let's begin with there was some issues of jurisdiction on part of politicians. I'll just cite some examples. One example that was very evident in Osumeni, located in Enyobi South local government area of Anambra State. The deputy governor himself was captured. Amateur videos showed him, going to some polling units, said he was on election duty. It got me wondering if a politically exposed person as a deputy governor should be out there on election day, not at his own polling units, but outside of his own local government. I wonder what our elections have become with politicians roaming about and intimidating voters. Let me mention that the rascality that the leadership, the government and power exhibited in the last election seem to have sponsored every other anomaly that happened. Because if the government and power, if the deputy governor of Anambra State could have been seen to be interfering in the election where he is not a candidate, and I believe that it is the duty and it is under the support of INEC to assign any electoral duty to whosoever they choose on election day. And being a deputy governor and being somebody who's politically exposed, I don't see why, even if he applied for it, he should be given an election duty, put an election duty on election day, saying that he could actually intimidate voters by his mere presence. So why I'm saying this incident is that it appears that not only INEC, not only the political parties, but now the government itself are also acting rascally when it comes to elections. So if they are acting in such a responsible manner, I wonder what we now expect of people who are ordinary citizens or INEC or whoever you may call it, who are in lower levels of responsibility, and you should expect that the higher authorities should be more circumspect in their conduct. And so for INEC, what I expect of INEC is that they should go on now to probably install CCTVs or find a way to put on cameras at the various polling units, or employ somebody to do that, because we need to get evidences of these voting anomalies. There should be records of it, so that we can fight against this culture of vote buying. Before it takes deeper roots and is already taken now. Then for the security agencies, they shouldn't stand by. They should do something when they see people obviously breaching electoral laws.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Caleb. Thank you so much. Because of time, we'll have to wrap it up now. Thank you for joining us on Signature Morning.
Thank you. And
thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, bye.
And now we have come to the end of that session with Caleb Enyobi. Thank you so much for joining us. When we return, Signature Morning continues.
The way we see the world shapes the way we change it. Gender isn't just a checkbox, it's a lens. One that helps us understand the world more deeply and act more fairly. Gender Perspectives, a program for those ready to see more, do more, and be more. Designed to challenge assumptions, ignite conversations, and build inclusive solutions across every sector of society.
We are not, fighting the men. We are not saying we are equal in terms of rights. We're only asking they should recognize our existence.
Join us on Gender Perspectives, showing every Saturday by 4 p.m. Repeat every Wednesdays by 5 p.m. and Thursdays by 3 p.m. Change begins with perspective. Let's widen yours.